Good evening. Brisbane is flooding once again 2 years after devastating floods tore the heart out of the city. In a moment, Premier Campbell Newman will join us, but this is the situation as we go to air. 3 people are confirmed dead. At least 3 others are missing. Brisbane will have 2 flood peaks around noon tomorrow and on Wednesday. Now, that could affect around 5,000 properties. The biggest danger is in Bundaberg, where thousands have been evacuated. And nearly 250,000 homes across the state have no power tonight. We begin with Max Futcher and Premier Campbell Newman, who are this evening at Rosalie. Max.
Yeah, Georgie, we are in Rosalie, the scene of so much heartache just a couple of years ago. And Premier, once again, the businesses have got all the sandbags in place. What's the thinking? Will the village go under here?
Well, look, it's a bit hard to say, Max, but given the projections that we've been given, and we can only go on those, I'm very hopeful that this time they don't see the water inundating their shops. But let's keep our fingers crossed. We'll certainly know by this time tomorrow.
OK, that's Rosalie. What about around the state? What other areas of concern are there tonight?
Well, Max, I just want people to know that wherever they are in Queensland this evening, if they're in difficulty, we are looking out for them. We absolutely are doing everything we can to protect them. We're going to make sure that we then get in and help clean up their communities and then rebuild, and we're not going to forget them. So I just want to say that up front. The biggest concern we've currently got is, of course, the crisis in the city of Bundaberg, North Bundaberg specifically. Thankfully, in the last few hours, we've managed to evacuate around 1,000 people by helicopters from North Bundaberg, where they had been cut off on essentially what's become an island or a couple of islands, and we're rapidly moving to evacuate the remaining people. In fact, we're getting another couple of Army helicopters in with night vision capabilities if there are any people we still have to deal with. So we're coming to get you, we're coming to look after you, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure we don't leave anyone behind. We're also seeing, though, an evacuation currently being planned for the Bundaberg Hospital, which will see about 131 patients having to be moved. I don't have more details than that. One other bit of information for people right up the Queensland coast. The good news is that Telstra have just advised from about 4 p.m. they've restored the fibre optic cable, the backbone, and they'll progressively bring cities and towns back online up the coast of Queensland and into the interior.
That is good news. Back here in the southeast, it's been raining fairly much overnight and again today. So is there any update on the size of the flood peak and indeed what times it may strike in Brisbane and in Ipswich?
Well, firstly to Ipswich, Max, the latest advice I have is a flood peak a bit later than first advised, 9 p.m. at a height of 15 metres. So that's a little bit higher than we advised yesterday at 14.5. I urge people to look at those flood maps if they haven't already. In terms of Brisbane City, they're still saying 2.6 metres measured at the Port Office gauge. What does that mean? That means about 2 metres lower than last time. If you measure it at Jindalee, it's 7 metres lower than last time. That's the projection. So I hope that gives people some comfort. So the flood maps that Lord Mayor Graham Quirk put out last night, they are the best possible estimate. I really urge people to look at them and go with that information.
There's still about 3,500 residential properties being affected.
That's the impact that the council has advised, but I stress that could be anything from water into the habitable areas of the home to perhaps just water somewhere on the property. It could be on the backyard under the kids' swings. We just don't know at this stage, but certainly what we're more confident about is where the water will spread, so people have the best information that we have.
With so much rain falling over such a short period, a lot of people's thoughts will turn to Ivanhoe Dam. What is the current situation with the outflows from the dam?
Well, Ivanhoe outflows were diminished overnight, so last night they were down to a trickle by the early hours of this morning, and it was actually shut off completely this morning. I believe that is still the situation. I hope it hasn't changed, but I do make the point that once the flood peak from the Bremer River and the Lockyer, which is really causing this flood on this occasion, once that peak is passed, they will then start to open the gates again, and they need to get rid of that water because Ivanhoe has gone up a lot. To give people an idea, it's gone up over 3 metres since the start of this flooding event, and it's actually continued to go. It will continue to go up at least another metre, maybe 2 metres, with all the water that's coming down the Somerset and Stanley rivers.
Okay, I know you're busy, Premier. Thank you very much for your time. It'll be 10 to 48 hours, I would have thought. So
thanks very much. But again, we are there looking after people. The team is working. We're coming to save people in Bundaberg this evening. Make sure people get together. Look out for your neighbours. Make sure we don't miss anybody. We've got to get everyone out. and that's my final message this evening.
Thank you very much. Premier Campbell Newman there down here at Rosalie. Well, as we've heard, the rain is easing up and the wind has died off somewhat as the ex-tropical cyclone Oswald moves further south, but Brisbane has once again been left with an all too familiar and creeping menace. Wide, brown and swelling by the hour, the Brisbane River is rising, swallowing walkways, jetties and low-lying properties. It's usually one of the best features of these Eagle Street restaurants, but not today. Go right out. For the second demoralising time in 2 years, wait staff and kitchen hands become salvage crews, moving chairs, wine and stock to higher ground.
It's heartbreaking, but we can't even focus on it. It's just we need to keep moving.
At Windsor, the flood arrived overnight and has already ruined bedding, furniture and lives. Wendy McDowell's business was among the first to go under.
One of the blokes went in and said it's waist deep, so we're just devastated.
Businesses in Rosalie Village are well versed in flood preparations. The sandbags are in, the stock mostly out.
No power, so we don't know anything.
Nearby streets have water through them and they expect it to be like this for at least 2 days.
They've said that we think the water will come up to about the fence level, so we should be able to see the top of the fence still.
My wife turned to me and said, "Oh, hello, do you think we should take the cars out?" And I said no, because the flood's not going to happen until tomorrow. In about 15 minutes, I said, get everything out.
The residents here in Torwood Street were fortunate there was plenty of warning and time for them to get their valuables to the upper levels of the house. The sad fact is, for hundreds of households in Brisbane in coming days, even the upper levels won't be high enough. The first of 2 peaks is still hours away, so volunteers are filling sandbags, racing the clock and the rising water.
People need to be prepared. That means, please, friends of those who might be impacted, get in and give them a hand today. It is a public holiday. There is an opportunity there.
The great thing about Australians is that they rally around each other when times are tough.
Parts of the inner city are like a ghost town. A lake is forming near the Stock Exchange in Eagle Street. Nearby, a window has popped from a high-rise and police have effectively shut down the financial district.
Again, I remind you, this is not January 2011, but it is a significant event.
It won't be as bad as 2 years ago, but Brisbane once again bears all the hallmarks of a city under siege. Yeah, under siege. Well, authorities are still saying that about 3,500 residential properties will be affected by this flood in the next week or so, and about 1,250 businesses. But down here at Rosalie, the Premier's just told us a short time ago that he believes that the Rosalie Village this time will dodge the flood. Georgie.
Let's hope so. Thank you, Max Futcher there at Rosalie.